You know that feeling, right? Regret. It's that knot in your stomach, that little voice in your head, playing something on a loop, whispering, what if only. We have all been there. But what if regret wasn't just a punishment? What if you can actually learn to make choices in a way that leaves less room for it? Well, today, we're going to break down a really practical framework for living a life with way fewer of those haunting what-ifs. So, let's dive in.
I mean, who hasn't wished for a do-over? It's totally universal. It could be some small, awkward thing you said yesterday, or a massive, life-altering choice from 10 years ago. That feeling of wanting to hit the rewind button is just part of being human. And it turns out, it's way, way more common than you might think.
Get this. Research shows that in a typical week, people regret nearly 1/3 of their decisions. 1 out of 3. That's a lot. So if you're feeling that pang of regret over something right now, listen up. You're not doing it wrong. You're just normal. The goal isn't to become a robot who never feels regret. That's impossible. The goal is to understand how it works so we can get a handle on it.
Okay, so if we're going to tackle regret, we've got to know our enemy, right? And it turns out it's not just this one big blob of a bad feeling. Psychologists actually split it into 2 totally different types. And understanding this difference, well, it's a total game changer. So check this out. On one side, you have regrets of action. These are for the things we actually did. You know, saying that dumb comment, making a bad investment, taking a risk that blew up in our face. They sting, for sure, but our brain is pretty good at moving on, filing them under lessons learned. But then you have regrets of inaction. These are the tough ones. The chance you didn't take, the trip you didn't go on, the words you never said. Those are the ghosts that can haunt you for years, and that is our main target today.
So, the big question is, how do we start building a life that avoids those deep, lasting regrets? Well, the very first, most important strategy is all about authenticity. It's about making a conscious choice to live a life that is genuinely yours, not some performance you're putting on for other people. So what's the actual game plan here? It all starts with getting super clear on your core values. I mean, what really matters to you when no one else is watching. Once you know that, it's like you have an internal compass for every single decision. You can ask yourself, am I doing this because it's true to me or because I think it's what other people expect? Following that compass is your absolute best defense against future regret. All right, let's jump into our second strategy. This one goes right for the jugular of long-term regret, inaction. This is all about building up that courage muscle, you know, the one that helps you take the leap instead of just being frozen by the fear of what might go wrong.
Mark Twain he absolutely nailed it with this one, didn't he? It perfectly captures this whole idea. The pain of trying something and failing, it fades. But the ghost of a missed opportunity, of wondering what could have been, man, that can stick with you forever. So we have to actively work on shifting our default setting.
Now, this isn't about being reckless. It's about taking smart, calculated risks that line up with your values. It's about realizing there's no such thing as perfect timing. And that last point on the slide? That's your secret weapon. Seriously, when you're on the fence, just ask, will I regret not trying this? It flips the script in your head. The fear isn't about failing anymore. It's about missing out on your own life. And suddenly, the right path usually becomes crystal clear.
Our third strategy really gets to the core of what makes for a meaningful life. When people look back, they almost never wish they'd worked more hours or bought one more gadget. What do they wish for? Almost always, it's more time and deeper connections with the people they love.
The key is to invest in your relationships like they're the most valuable thing you own. Because, let's be real, they are. Don't wait for a special occasion to say I love you or I'm sorry. Have that conversation you've been putting off. Choose the weekend trip with a friend over the new phone. Every time you do that, it's like you're making a deposit in your regret-free bank account. And the returns on that investment are priceless. Okay, so preventing future regret is great. But what about the regrets we're already carrying around? I know what you're thinking. The good news is they don't have to be dead weight. You can actually transform that baggage from a source of pain into a source of fuel. Let's talk about how.
It really boils down to this simple 3-step process. First, just accept it. Acknowledge the mistake without beating yourself up. A mistake is just data, it's not who you are. Second, reframe it. Ask yourself, okay, what did I learn here? How can this make me smarter or stronger going forward? And third, and this is often the hardest one, forgive yourself. The you from back then did the best they could with what they knew. When you do these 3 things, you take away regret's power and turn it into wisdom.
Now for one last incredibly powerful tool that brings all of this into focus. It's called the deathbed perspective. I know, it sounds a little morbid, but trust me, this little mental trick is one of the fastest ways to cut through the noise and figure out what truly matters.
So this list comes from a palliative care nurse who literally spent years documenting the final regrets of her patients. The patterns are just undeniable. And notice anything? They all point back to the things we've been talking about: being authentic, connecting with people, and having courage. People don't regret the risks that didn't work out. They regret not being true to themselves, not saying what they felt, and choosing work over friends. This isn't a theory. This is a cheat sheet for a well-lived life, straight from the source.
So I'll leave you with this final thought to carry with you. The next time you're facing a big decision, just try this. Project yourself forward, decades from now. Imagine you're looking back on this exact moment, and then ask yourself that question. The answer you get once you strip away all the short-term fear and noise will almost always point you down the path you won't regret.